Hey, are you looking to buy cheap land? I mean, you've been scouring the internet and watching every video and looking at every website you could come across just to find places that are cheap. Maybe you want to build a home, or you want to live off grid, or maybe just a getaway kind of place. You just want a place to be able to have some room. I get that. I understand. I've watched some of these videos too about how to buy cheap land. And would you watch the next few minutes and see if maybe there's something that will help you? I want to give you a few tips. Hey, I want to give you my qualifications. I've been a licensed real estate broker for over a decade now. I've got my own company. I'm licensed in 6 states in the South and Midwest. I've got over 30 real estate agents that work for me, oversee the transactions of probably close to $100 million a year in rural real estate, RecLand Realty. All we do is land. I mean, it's in the logo. I've also bought and sold dozens of tracts of my own, as well as thousands and thousands of acres with investment groups. So I know a little bit about the rural real estate business. I just want to tell you about a few of the traps that are common with buying cheap land. The first thing that I've noticed are people talking about how easy it is to find property to owner finance. And they present it as if that is such a common way for people to buy land that are new buyers, first-time buyers. And I just want to tell you folks, it's just not that common. People do owner finance their land. Sellers will enter into certain types of agreements to take the bank out of the equation for people that can't get conventional financing, but it's not as common as a lot of people that put videos on YouTube make it out to be. It's going to be rare that you're going to find a property that you truly want and can afford, and that person will owner finance it with terms that are going to be reasonable for you. So don't get caught up in the trap of thinking, hey, I'll just go find some land and get the seller to finance it for me. You may, and I hope you do if that's what you want, but it's not as common as you think. The second trap has to do with the first one in terms of owner financing. If you do find somebody that will owner finance property for you, find some cheap land and the seller will help you with it, you're probably going to end up in a land contract, a bond for deed, a contract for deed, a land installment contract. These are the names of various forms of pretty much the same thing where the seller is providing the financing. There are some landmines that you need to watch for. I have seen people hurt by this on more than one occasion because they gullibly, naively walk into a deal, they put money up, they make commitments, and they end up getting burned because they don't understand some of the pitfalls of these type of agreements and documents. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they're criminal, only used by shysters. No. There are legitimate people that use these type of agreements to sell property. Here are a couple things that can bite you with these type of contracts. Number one, many times they're not recorded. They're not recorded in the county or parish courthouse, and so that means they're not public record. If they're not public record, that means that people do not know about the deal. It's a private contract between you and that landowner. And that's okay to an extent, but you want the public to be aware that you have an agreement to buy this property. Why? Well, let's just say I'm owner financing a tract to you. We have the agreement and you sign it and I sign it and you pay me down payment money and you're paying your note every month just like you agreed to do 10, 15 years down the road. Well, the public doesn't know about that. And me as the shyster, I go and take out a mortgage on that property. The bank is going to check to see if the title is clear. They're not going to see the agreement that I've made with you to sell that land because it's not recorded. The bank's going to loan this landowner money, and then he goes a month, 2 months, a year, 3 years making payments. Suddenly he quits paying for it. Well, what's the bank going to do? They're going to foreclose. They're going to take the property back, but that's the property that you have an agreement to buy. It doesn't matter. You're going to lose it. The bank owns that property now. They've taken it. It's theirs legally now. Now, your contract with the landowner is out the window. It's irrelevant. I've seen it happen personally. Another pitfall with a land contract or bond for deed is at some point, if you pay that deal off like you've agreed, you then want to get title to the property because you don't have title to the property during the terms of the contract. That original landowner still has title to the property. It is 100% his. You're really just a renter. Now, I know you're buying the property, but you're really just renting it because he still has the title completely and in full, completely in his name. At some point, you're going to pay the deal off and you're going to want the title to the property, as you should. Well, the landowner is supposed to give you that according to the terms of the contract. But what if there are liens on the property? What if over the course of this time, these decades that you've been paying, he's gotten in trouble with the IRS and there's now a federal tax lien on that property? Well, that lien exists on the land that you paid for. It doesn't go away just because you've paid for it. No. The owner of that property has to settle that lien. He's got to clear that title before he can give clear title to you. And you have no assurances when you enter into a land contract without an attorney on the front end. You have no assurances that it's going to be free and clear from any liens, mortgages, or other encumbrances. If you don't get it recorded, if you don't use an attorney, if you're not assured of a clear title before you enter into it, there's no assurances that you'll ever get it free and clear at the end. So if I'm sounding kind of scary about this whole land contract thing, I'm trying to make it real for you. So I'm asking you to go into it, if you choose to do it, with both eyes wide open and using a title company or a real estate attorney on the front end to make sure you're protected all along the way. Hey, the third trap that I see people falling into and buying cheap land is they buy it sight unseen. They find something on the internet, they look things up on mapping systems, they talk to the landowner, they talk to everybody they can, and it just sounds too good to be true. How can I pass this up? It looks beautiful, the maps look great, all the information seems to be checking out, and they buy it a long distance away, and they've never gone to see it. If you don't go to see it, I promise you're going to find some things in this deal that you didn't expect. I have people dealing with my brokerage quite often that want to buy something sight unseen. I hardly allow that to happen. When I say hardly, there are exceptions, only because they have pushed and pushed and pushed. I have tried my best to keep them from entering into a purchase agreement without coming to see it. And they insist on it. I will let them do it. They can make their own decisions, but I really push and encourage them to come see the property before they enter into a contract to buy it. Buying something sight unseen, especially for first-time buyers or novices, people who have not bought property very much before, huge risk. There are so many things, so many variables about rural real estate that come into play that you cannot get information about over the internet. You cannot see the topography the way you think you can with a topo map. Some of you have never even looked at a topo map, let alone know how to read one, and you're wanting to buy this property to build a home on. Buying sight unseen is a temptation, but it is a terrible trap. Hey, another trap to buying cheap land is that there's a potential it's not as usable for your needs as you may think it is. There's a reason it's cheap, folks. I'm in this business. This is how I make my living. We sell real estate. We've got deals happening every day of the week, month after month, year after year. I'm in the business. There is a reason it is cheap. There's something not right with it. There's something that's not as desirable on that tract as it would be for other tracts. Finding a piece of property for $300-400 an acre, yeah, it's out there. I've sold some, but it's because there are things that are wrong with it. There are things that are attached to it that make it less desirable than you expect it to be. I've watched some videos on YouTube where it talks about some of the cheapest places in the country to buy land. Well, what it does is it shows the nice part of the area. It shows the city and beautiful vistas, but it's not showing you the details of each particular property that they're claiming can be bought cheap. There's something wrong with these properties if they're that cheap. There's maybe access issues, there are utility issues, there may be environmental issues. Very few people know how to really search that out. Certain parts of the country require the ground to perk, meaning for septic use, but maybe the ground doesn't perk. Well, you don't know that unless you have a perk test, and you don't know to have a perk test unless you know to get a perk test. So there's a reason ground is cheap. So it might not be as usable as you think it is, and you might not, as a first-time buyer or a novice, know what questions to ask and know how to dig past the surface and look and see just how usable a property is. All right, I've listed some traps, and I'm not trying to scare you off. I'm just wanting you to have your eyes open, because I see how many people watch these how to buy cheap land videos, and I just want you to be careful. That's all. I'm in the business of guiding people in buying and selling real estate, and that's what I'm doing right now. I don't know you, but I want you to get what you want, and it be a blessing to you, not a burden. I want it to be a pleasant experience and meet your needs. So I pointed out some traps just so that you are aware and you've got both eyes open. But if you move forward and you find a piece of property and you're going to owner finance it, here's some things I want you to do. Number one, use an attorney or a title company to review the document, to do a complete title search on the property. Yeah, that's going to cost you several $100s, but we're talking about buying a piece of land, and you're now going to start nickel and diming over several $100s to make sure that it's done right and that it's legitimate. That's foolish, in my opinion. Make sure the document's good, make sure the title's good, and make sure the document is recorded. And if the seller will not allow you to do that, or balks or pushes on that, you need to run away as fast as you can. That is a good indicator that there are bigger problems down the road. Hey, if you decide to move forward in this, go see the property. Get on an airplane, get on a bus, take 2 days off work, drive 9 hours, whatever you got to do, go see it. Put on your boots, go walk around on that property, touch every tree, walk to every corner, go see it. You'll know instantly, this is going to work for me, or my goodness, this is terrible. This is not going to work for us. It's worth going to see. Hey, the next thing I'd encourage you to do if you want to move forward in buying a piece of real estate, have some money. Just save the money, buy it outright, save the money for a down payment, use a good lender. That way it's done in a conventional way. And I realize it's a little more cumbersome that way, but what I know about this process is that every I is dotted, every T is crossed. The lender's involved, so title work is going to be done. The document will be recorded. It will all be handled in a legal way. Last tip I'll give you is more philosophical than tactical, but stop for a minute and ask yourself, why are you doing this? Why now? Why this property? Why this moment? Back up just a little bit, and it may bring some clarity into why you're doing what you're doing, when you're doing it, and you may come to the realization that, oh my goodness, this is something that it can wait. This is something that I don't have to do right now. Putting off big decisions until you've let a little time lapse is always a good thing to do in life. If you're going to buy real estate, I want you to do it the right way. I want you to get what you want, and I want you to enjoy it, and it be a blessing to you and your family. So be wise, use these tips, use professionals, and go see the property. Thanks for watching our videos. There's some more right there. Check them out.